You're listening to the Totally Indian Football Show by Humans of Indian Football.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Totally Indian Football Show. I'm your host Siju, and a very happy new year to all our listeners tuning in. And I want to extend the new year wishes to all our panelists who've joined in. We are once again houseful, and I'm very happy to introduce all of them for the first time this year. Ajay, welcome to the show.
Hi, Siju. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Welcome to the show, Arko. How is it going?
Thank you for having me on the show. It's good to be back in 2021 and looking forward to the new year.
Well, welcome to the show, Sayak and Sandeep Menon.
Thank you, Siju. Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year, guys.
Great. Let's start. We were on a break for almost 2 weeks. The last episode was out on the 18th of December, and we are resuming back. And good to have all of you guys on the show. And hopefully, we look forward to a great 2021. Now, we have a list of matches that we probably watched over the 2 weeks that we didn't do the show. But I think the most entertaining one was now this is we are recording on a Tuesday, so the match that we are just fresh off is Monday night, which was Hyderabad FC and Chennai FC, and what a game, right? Yes, a lot of funny moments, but it was a 1-4 victory to Hyderabad, and I think it's a great confidence booster for the team like Hyderabad, who won with a great margin. Especially after three defeats in a row. So, Sandeep, I'm going to come to you first. You did put Chennai FC as one of the title contenders, and we did see a great performance from them in the start. But slowly and steady, the whole table has been, kind of changing, especially from the third position onwards. It's up for grabs for any team. So how do you rate rate the teams now? Do you still consider Chennai up for the top four or a title contender, or do you see Hyderabad being the team that they are? It's going to be difficult.
I think honestly it is going to be very difficult to call. That's what I feel because everyone from Jamshedpur till Chennai, that's 4 to 8, looks like they have a very good chance of qualifying. And because none of them are really all that consistent, that's the key here. And Chennai, look, they're still playing well. It's just yesterday's was a strange game because I thought from the first half that Chennai was going to win it. But then Hyderabad had this resurgent, I don't know what to say, second half and some goals, some belters. There was a mistake from the Chennai side also. So it's like games are sort of sometimes decided on moments, right? And Hyderabad had some moments which they took, and Chennai hasn't. And to be fair to Chennai, they haven't been closing out games, which has been one of their problems. They're creating chances. Jakub Silvestre is a good striker, not a goal scorer, but he's helping in build up. Changte and Rahim Ali are not scoring enough. They are depending a lot on Thapa to do a lot of things, and Crivellaro also. So they have to be more clinical. And I know that Chabalaslo is doing individual sessions with both Changte and Rahim Ali about how to. So basically, like he's moving the goalpost, asking them to turn and shoot while he keeps moving the goalpost and working on their finishing. At some point, the penny has to drop in the match, and whenever that happens, they should be okay. But yeah, yesterday was a little disappointing if you're a Chennaian fan because they didn't deserve to be beaten 4-1.
Now, before we move on with the games ahead, I just want to ask all of you all about the last 2 weeks that we saw. Any interesting picks that you want to talk about? Any matches that kind of surprised you? Any performance that caught your attention? We won't look at all the games in detail, but it's up to you. The one or two games or one or two teams that you want to talk about. So I'll start with Sayak. Sayak, I'm sure you're a happy fan of East Bengal because finally they got a win, and it was a 3-1 victory against Odisha FC. So I think we everyone needs an Odisha to probably boost their confidence. Sayak, any other matches apart from that particular win that East Bengal got, which you kind of enjoyed or caught your attention?
Well, I like the game where Kerala versus won the first game, the 2-0 over Hyderabad FC. That was a very surprising game because the first half we clearly saw the Hyderabad FC were creating the chances, but they lacked the consistency in the field, which was essentially taken over by Kerala Blasters, and Kiddu has, I think he has finally got his first 11 setup, and I don't think Gary Hooper returning to the 11 anytime soon, because I think Jordan Murray is a better fit to be up front. And about the defensive line, it will be interesting to see how Bakari Kone joins in, and if he can come back into the 11 as we have now Sandeep Singh there. So it will be interesting to see how Kibu Vikula deals with all of his foreigners, because clearly he does not have all the foreigners and he's doing well now, surprisingly. It will be interesting to see what they do against Odisha FC. That is another game that they can target, like be targeted for the next 3 points. So yeah, I think that win was very interesting, but they could not do it against Mumbai City FC because obviously the quality is just a little too high there. So I think Odisha FC will be a game where Kerala Blasters can go all guns blazing like they did against Hyderabad FC. And I think that was the most interesting game for me, apart from our win for the fest.
Arko, for you, any games that caught your attention or any teams that you want to talk about the past 2 weeks?
I think what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is that we've slowly seen Northeast United slipping away. Down the table, we had a very high hopes for them after 4 game weeks, but I think this is always to be expected. The lack of Indian depth, coupled with the lack of, let's say, good foreigners. When I mean good foreigners, I mean guys who can change the game on their own, right? A Bumu, for example, or an Angulo, for example, right? We've not seen that from Northeast, and the decline isn't really a surprise to me. I mean, they have struggled in the previous few match weeks. Their only chance of picking up a win was against Odisha, and they blew that. They drew that 2-all. Uh, yeah, and against ATK, 80K were solid, so there's no chance that Northeast were ever going to win that. So I mean, it's just a case of the same old for them. They're winless, I think, in about 8 matches now, Northeast. So yeah, I mean, not eight, 6 matches. Sorry, they've not won since they beat East Bengal 2-0. So yeah, I mean, Highlander fans definitely won't be really happy, especially after the start they had. But I mean, that's the reality of this league. I mean, you step off your foot for even 2 weeks, and this is what happens to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think teams like the teams that these guys, when they started, we were like, okay, these guys are going to be the party poopers. But I feel somewhere there had to be, like Arko mentioned, the problem of the depth in the squad. But Jamshedpur and Hyderabad have been continuing that whole to surprise a lot of teams. But Ajay, what are your picks from the last 2 weeks? I'm sure one of it is definitely Mumbai City.
So just to recap and recapture what all of the boys mentioned, and just reliving those games again. I think Jamshedpur's 1-0 win over BFC was quite impressive. They put out a statement there, irrespective of how poor BFC were. What matters is getting the 3 points, and Owen Coyle did it in his spectacular 1-0 fashion. Nevertheless, that is number one. You saw Hyderabad FC going on, on a 3-match losing streak before they beat Chennai 4-1 last night. And in amongst those games was the game against FC Goa, where FC Goa won it with late goals. One from Ishan Pandita scoring of his first touch as a substitute, and Angulo scoring a late winner, maintaining his sort of like goal scoring streak. So those two games were quite impressive, and then of course you had Mumbai City FC versus Kerala Blasters, which was a crazy game, the first game of 2021, and I would like to think that was a fitting tribute to the year 2020, the manic year that it was. The first half itself, it could have been a 6-2 or 7-2 kind of scoreline. There were so many chances, and in the second half, we had Albino Gomes saving yet another penalty. And yeah, I mean, I'm still surprised that the game finished 2-0.
Sandeep, I started speaking to you from the Hyderabad match against Chennai, but let me ask you, what were your picks from the last 2 weeks? The disappointing BFC, two defeats that they've had.
The BFC has been disappointing, as we have often spoken in this podcast before. I think they have honestly regressed quite a bit. Their recruitment has not been that great either, because their two strikers, Deshaun Brown, Christian Upset, is still yet to score. It depend a lot on Clayton Silva, set pieces, and the teams are not conceding that many free kicks to them anymore in the dangerous areas. And there is really no creative spark from that team. It's sort of like a workman sort of a team, which is fine. But before, when they won the title, they had someone like Miku who was a game changer, and they don't have that player anymore. They've not been able to replace him. Sunil Chetri looks a little, silent so far. So Udanta, we thought he should have some sort of resurgence this year. Should he make a claim for the national team spot again? Has not happened. Ashik was one bright spot. He was injured again. So all this doesn't bode well for them. When I think this is a bold statement to say, but I think it'll be difficult for them to qualify this year, considering how difficult that see, 1 and 2 is gone positions. That's for sure. We are looking at 3 and 4, and there is a good 4 or 5 teams fighting for it. And if they don't revert to winning ugly or however that may be, it'll be very difficult for them to qualify. And 80K, because I am a defensive football fan. I like teams who play defensive football and transition well and things. And 80K is that perfect team who's considered only from set pieces, 3 goals. Open play, they don't concede goals. They don't concede too many chances, and they have Krishna and Williams who are able to. There is 80K plays on moments when they attack, like create one half chance, and they have two strikers. The recruitment is spot on, who can deliver that for them. So they're a very entertaining team. I know a lot of the time they say, "Oh, it's a boring game the way 80K plays," but I really enjoy it. So yeah, these two teams. Surprisingly, I took both defensive teams. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprise in that because you just said that you like defensive football. So anyway, moving on, we had like a bit of a amidst all of the good things, and when I say good things about the matches that are happening and all of that, there was a signing also happening, and there was a transfer happening from Kerala Blasters to ATKMB, and a bit of fury over there about something related to the management and stuff. I mean, it's not a very fresh news. It's a bit old, and people have already spoken about it. It's the Nongdamba Naurem issue, where he was transferred from Kerala Blasters to ATKMB, but he suffered an injury, and now ATKMB has refused to pay the transfer fee. So, Sayak, any updates on this? Like, what was the whole issue about? Do you have any? I mean, if you can give us any clear picture about it.
Well, there was one guy from ATK Mohun who was telling that like what they do every time the clubs have a session before the actual medical thing. Okay, so Nauram did not really train with ATK Mohun Bagan. He was just having some drills. So we cannot really blame ATK Mohun Bagan here because it's a usual custom in Indian football. Like players do join before the actual signature and actual medical uh, checkup. So I think I think Kerala Blasters should have known that he was he had an ACL tear, and if he has an ACL tear, and if it's a grade 3 ACL tear, he could not even train with ATK Mohun Bagan. So I think Kerala Blasters should have known about this and not and this has resulted in Nongdamba now I'm not knowing, and we don't know how long he has been training with an injury. So it could have been a grade 1 injury, and it could have now it can be a grade 3 injury. So without being aware of the injury, Kerala Blasters has not done anything good. So it only impacts the career of the player. So I think he gets the surgery, and it will be interesting to see who pays for the surgery, because I don't know what whose player is he, because he is a Kerala Blasters player, but he was going on loan to ATK Mohun Bagan. So I'm not sure if ATK Mohun Bagan will want to pay for Nongdamba Nauram, and Kerala Blasters really I don't know what they're up to. And about that also impacts Shubho Ghosh's transfer, because he was not getting any chances at ATK Mohun Bagan, and he would have probably got his chances in Kerala Blasters playing under his old coach Kibu Vikuna. So it really hampers both the players, and I think Kerala Blasters is to be on the greater side of the blame because ATK Manmagan could not have known. So I think that's that.
Can I just add to this?
Sure, go ahead.
Because so I've had a ACL strain while playing football. Just a strain, not a tear, not a rupture. There was a time in a year when three of us got, one guy got a rupture, one guy got a tear, and I got a strain. When you have a strain, also you feel it. I mean, it's not like you can't play or you can't walk and things. It's just very difficult. There is sort of something doesn't feel right, and it hurts a lot. Initially, there is a lot of swelling and all those kind of things. Obviously, the musculature of a football player will be very different to someone like me. But if he ever complained of a knee pain to Kerala and they didn't look after it and they didn't really talk about it or do take any action, it's insane to think they would do that. Unless Noram didn't mention this because he wanted a chance to play and decided to, keep it within himself that he's in pain and doing that. But how can a club? I mean, you should blame if the player didn't lie and they told the club that there is something wrong with my knee and they still chose not to do much about it, absolutely the club has to be blamed because it's his future that they're playing with. But at the same time, sometimes you do realize that the players don't tell the physios that they are going through something to ensure that they can, maybe get a chance to play, or maybe he's looking at the transfer thinking, oh, I can go there and play. And how, if that's the case, then Noram got it wrong because they were obviously going to have a medical and it's always going to come up. Now he's in a limbo, and like Sayak just said, who's going to pay for that treatment?
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of, we don't know how he's going to come back as a player, because trust me, this is a topic that I've done extensive research on because my European football club, we've had our own trauma with ACL injuries, double ACL injuries as well. So I think after all that's been said and all that's been done, he was one of the most promising youngsters out there. He had a great I League season last year with Mohun Bagan, and it would have been really great to see him actually get consistent minutes in the ISL. And a player is not the same after an ACL injury. So I think just to conclude this topic, I just wish him a speedy recovery and hope he comes back stronger, whichever team he turns up for eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure it's quite more than a physical thing. It could be a personal, I mean, a mental, uh, a bit of a mental off balance for Nongdam as well. If something that he informed the team and things were not looked at, and now he has to go through this, and now he's like left as an orphan. Which club is going to pay for his, all of that? So it's just very sad situation that you're playing with a career of a player. But anyway, hopefully we see some good news coming in the weeks to come. Now let's move ahead. I think 2021 also brings in a bit of excitement. That is the I League kickstarts, and as our listeners, we already told our listeners we're recording on a Tuesday, but this you're listening to us on a Friday. That means it's the 8th, and tomorrow, that's the 9th of January, is where I League kickstarts, and promising season once again. I mean, promising league once again to look at because we have two new teams, not very new. Mohammedan SC is not a new team, but they've been back to the top tier of I League after a very long time, the Black Panthers. And new entry for Sudeva FC. That will be a new team that we'll be looking at in I League. So let me come to Arco first. I League is starting, and as always, we look forward to a great league, a great competition, great season ahead. So, what are your expectations from this season, which will also be once again a bio bubble, which is being held in Kolkata?
So because this is a season of reset for the I League, right? Essentially, what we are seeing is an I League minus, the big guns of that are East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. Of course, Mohammedan are there, and over the past few years, we've seen a few regional favorites come up. In the fact that they've what do you say? They've really managed to galvanize audiences in their local states, whether it be Gokulam or Neroka, right? My expectation is this season of I League should be watched. Not only by the audiences, but I think ISL teams will have a closer look at the I League, because next year we're looking at a situation where ISL might revert to a 3+1 rule. In that case, you'll have more teams picking up players from the I League, and in the history of the ISL also, we've seen that 97% or 99% of all players in the ISL, Indian players at least, come from the I League, not too many from the reserves, right? I can barely count them on in one hand, possibly, right? uh, Apart from that, I think it's going to be a fiercely competitive one, because there are no clear favorites, right? The format has changed. It's slightly different. We've not seen this format for a long time, at least in this country. And we know that many countries around the world use this format, where after the second half of the, during the second half of season, they split it into, the top half of a table and the bottom half. There's one half to win, for the winners, and there's one half for relegation, right? Uh, yeah. So my expectation is that states which have teams from states which have good football culture, because you have a 3+1, because not a lot of new foreigners in the I League. It's more or less because of COVID and everything. Foreigners who have been in India before have been picked up by these teams, and you understand, because there are logistical issues at getting foreigner from outside at this point of time. I expect that teams like Aizol, which have a good base of Indians, right, will do well. And I mean, the lesser the foreigners, the better it is for these guys. For teams like Neroka, for Aizol, maybe even a Chennai City, right? Because you have that amount of cohesiveness. I think Richard also mentioned it on one show. If you remember the last show that he was on, he also mentioned that there's a certain amount of cohesiveness in these teams, in the fact that they grow up playing together, right? So yeah, it's interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, my one expectation is that there are no clear favorites. Although I have a sneaky feeling that Real Kashmir, because of the way they play and the truncated nature of the league, might just win it all this year.
Sayak, it's happening in the place that you come from. The whole tournament is going to be, the whole league is going to happen. Not a tournament, but a league is going to be played in Calcutta, and you're based there. Any news that we should know of that you can bring us?
Well, the one news which you talk about is Mohammedan again having some problems with the investors. So it hardly been 2 months. They had their entire press conference, entire function at a hotel, and now we are hearing that they might split up again. And it was like I am hearing that it is mainly because it is again a power conflict. Like the Bunker Hill guys want to take control of the team selection, but they were originally hired for the marketing purpose. Like they were supposed to market the Mohammedan brand and attract more investors. But the Bunker Hill guys are trying to take control of the team management, which is not liked by Mohammedan. Like as we saw Yanlo being fired because of not agreeing with the guys as the management. So it's the same situation again. So I don't think Mohammedan will be able to manage their dominance in the league, because they obviously have a good squad. They have the the crop of the experienced Bengali players from CFL and from the I League second division, so they have a good experience batch. But again, the politics inside the dressing room will continue. I don't think they will be able to sustain it for long. And coming to the mild favorites who might sneak into the top six, I think Real Kashmir has had a fantastic preseason. They won the IFA Shield, and they're playing, and they have been playing some friendlies in Kolkata as well. So I think they will be up there and with carrying the IFA Shield form. And the second team I will go for is Round Glass Punjab. Again, they have been here in Kolkata for a long time. Like they are here since November, and they have been playing number of friendlies. Okay, so I think these two teams will be a tough nut to crack for other teams. And as usual, the teams like Gokulam Kerala, Neroka, as well Chennai Cities FC are there up there. And I like to see the contest between Sudeva FC and Indian Arrows, both teams totally Indians. It will be interesting to see how they manage with all the other teams. And I think it is a chance for Sudeva FC to stamp their authority on Delhi football, because I've been hearing that Delhi FC a club owned by Minerva Punjab right now. So they are hoping to enter the league pyramid. So it will be interesting to see how Sudeva uses this opportunity to represent Delhi again, since we don't have dynamos. So yeah, it will be an interesting season, and I hope One Sports manages to telecast it properly, because last time it was a horrific experience. But since it is just two venues, so I think they will be having better equipments. And yeah, let's see who goes to the trophy, since no promotion yet.
Ajay, what are your expectations from the whole league and especially the new team, Sudeva Delhi FC? Just like Saik mentioned, it'll be interesting to see them because they're all Indian squad. But what do you see? Because we've always seen an I League uh, where the competition is high level. There's it's not very easy for any team to crack it. But so how do you see these new team doing taking that challenge up?
I think that the surprise winner is always something the I League has been famous for over the last couple of years. You never know who's going to win it. So hopefully, we see another new winner this time around, and there are a lot of potential candidates. Like the boys mentioned, I think Round Glass Punjab start off as one of the favorites. Real Kashmir as well with the impressive preseason. Personally, I'm looking for Gokulam to do well as well. They've been therein and thereabouts every year, especially with last year when they won the Duran Cup. You felt that they could get the job done in the I League as well. This year they've got a new coach and they've got a bunch of new foreign signings, as well as they've retained some of the Indian players. So even they would be looking forward to put their name in the hat with regards to potential champions. So that would be interesting, and I think what we'll also see hopefully is a great battle, in terms of the bottom teams, because yeah, the quality is over there as well. I mean, it's a very balanced league, so I'm expecting great matchups. Good to see Mohammedan back as well, and hopefully we get to see some youngsters getting play time, Indian youngsters, and emerge from this season in the I League. Obviously, potentially they would be scouted by ISL clubs, but then at least this season, 2 3 months of what it is, we would get to see them, provided one sports gives us a hassle-free stream.
Sandeep, your thoughts on the league that's going to start, and once again, it looks like an interesting one. Like most of them have already mentioned their picks and their favorites. What are your thoughts on the entire season that we have ahead?
So as a someone from Calicut, I have to go with Gokulam Kerala FC purely because as a fan thing. But to be honest, I don't think they will go in as a favorites. I tend to agree with the fact that the Real Kashmir and probably Mohammedan is up there in favor as the favorites. I look at Chennai City and I think they are also quite a decent team. Because the last time they had, three Spaniards who took them there. They've managed to get three Serbians this time. So let's see if they can do that. But what I would say is the only reason that you put the other two clubs up there is because of the preseason. Because the way the league is structured, whoever starts fast will probably end up fighting for the title. Because and with the kind of preseason that most of the teams are having, and the COVID situation and the bubble and all that, if you don't start off fast, then you're probably going to be trying to stay away from relegation. So that part is going to be difficult because there are some teams who will build up steam towards as the season goes, and you might see a situation where some team starts really really strong in the first 5 6 games. They're up there, and then they hang around in the top pocket, and then after in the second half of the season they are getting thrashed by the teams who are other teams who are getting better and better as the season goes. So from there, it's difficult to say who's going to be favorites. And to be completely fair, I League is in the last couple of years, especially, has been this complicated, confusing place where anything can happen. And keeping away my allegiance to Gokulam, I would say Kashmir has to win it just so that the narrative is so good. That's a team from Kashmir, all the problems they faced there. Then the last year when they had all the blackout and things like that. Now COVID also. To win amidst all these problems, I think it would be an absolutely amazing story.
Yeah, and I League is never shy of from great stories. So let's hope for a great season. Arko, let me come to you. You have also like most part of your journalism career, or even now you've based in Delhi, and so I'm assuming that you've looked at Delhi football very closely as well. Do you see this as a good restart or a beginning for Delhi to get back into the football scene with Sudeva Delhi FC?
Well, you know, I mean, I myself am split about it, right? I mean, because primarily I'm a proponent of bottom up growth, really, where you build from the ground up. You have leagues for kids under 12, and then then you build from the ground up. But what is inevitable and what we always see is that when you have a top tier team from your city, you have that fan following, you have those guys following the team, you have more people just following the game. Need not necessarily be Sudeva or Delhi. The name is immaterial, right? What you need people to do is for more Delhi youngsters to really pick up the game, right? So I don't know if this will help. What do you say? Really galvanize people, but what we are seeing is that Delhi has a rich, or rather had a rich history of football, which in current times has been pretty subdued. You had the likes of City FC, which produced a Sunil Chetri. If you go to the old city of Delhi, they have tales of and I've gone there. They have tales of how in the olden days, whenever you had like a Rovers Cup or a Durand Cup, people, almost 40,000, 50,000 people would show up, right? That culture has definitely died down. Even 12 years back when India played at the Ambedkar Stadium, you saw a lot of people coming in, right? But we are still yet to, let's hit the nail on what will really restart Delhi football. Maybe Sudeva will be able to do what a Delhi Dynamo struggled to do, right? Really get in crowds, right? From all what we're hearing is that once the league is back to normal next season, not this season, next season, Sudeva might play out of Ambedkar, right? So that's a step forward in the right direction, as opposed to playing at the JLN, which is like this huge concrete jungle, right? Where you have to, essentially, you need a pair of binoculars to actually catch the action, right? It's not but remember, again, Delhi Dynamo's got 17,000, 18,000, 25,000 guys in their first second seasons, right? Inevitably, the places where football culture doesn't exist or is not as strong as, let's say, Kerala, Goa, Bengal, or the Northeast, your team's performance will dictate to a large, what do you say, large extent, the following that you have, right? Do well, get things right in the first year, and you're on course to have a good 2-3 years, right? Don't do well, have bad results, and then it could turn against you really fast, right? So in places where culture is not there, in places where you don't have the culture of, let's say, I'm going to support this team till the death, uh what do you say, they'll diss your team for losing as fast as they praise you to the heavens for winning, right? Simply because that those nuances of understanding may not be developed to that extent, right? I mean, what loyalty can you expect when you're starting a new club? It's not like you're a 100-year-old institution, right? That you command a set fan base, right? So it's very essential for, while the league is being held in Kolkata, it's very essential for Sudeva and for Football Delhi to use this as an opportunity. And definitely, like Sayak said, Delhi FC is also looking to get in. Two clubs are always better than one, I feel, right? The more the clubs from a place, the more the rivalries increase, the more the chances of local players coming and representing the state in, let's say, the I League or ISL. I think currently we only have Shubham Sarangi and Ayush Adhikari in the ISL, if I'm not wrong, from Delhi. I mean, Robin Singh, yeah, he's from Delhi, but his roots are in Punjab. So I mean, the two boys who've been born and brought up here in Delhi are only these two, right? So yeah, I mean, Delhi football definitely has a lot of catching up to do. Sudeva, I feel, is just one part of the puzzle. It's not the be it end all of the puzzle. It's not. It's just the starting, and definitely Delhi FC can only help the process.
Now, we've seen teams like from the Northeast and for Indian Arrows, where it's all Indian squad, and we know also the reasons to it. We saw Shillong field a all Indian squad, and we also saw Aizawl fielding. Indian Arrows is about Indian players only, so even that is that. But for a new team like Sudeva Delhi FC to field an all Indian squad, a great step forward, and that's what probably as a league that we want more young Indian players out there. And we've also spoken about the one need of the Indian strikers, so maybe we'll see some of them even from this squad. But Sandeep, my question to you is, how do you see that shaping up? Are this team ready for the challenge? Because we've seen I League, every year the competitive level of competitive competition is higher. So how do you see them, taking up and sticking to the challenge?
See, a newly formed team coming into the league and winning or doing very well is not going to be easy. Now, we have a blueprint in someone like Bengaluru FC who successfully did that. And if you look at the way they went about it, yeah, they got the 4 foreigners, well recruited. But what they did was, in terms of training, in terms of diet and things like that, was not something that was very prevalent at that time. How much fitness and how everything was monitored and things like that. So they were able to do that, and from that team we got a lot of national team players also. Like a lot of people got a shot in the arm for to in terms of resurgence in career, like a Keegan Pereira or Rino Anto, CK Vinith, even Darren Caldera for that matter, although he didn't play for the national team. So, but the problem is now most of the clubs going into the season already have these things. These are not like an outlier as such. So what do you have to do to beat teams who have foreigners in their team, who have better, maybe not better, but probably more experienced players in their team and things like that? It's going to be very difficult. And I honestly don't think they will do. They'll finish in the top five or the first the champion wala half. I think they'll probably take this year to sort of build a base and then slowly build on from there, because like Orko says, they need to be a team that is going to be there for the long haul. We've seen falls down so many times, especially let's in a city like Pune, for example. They had so many teams who have come and gone. You need a team who's there for the long haul to re-energize a city's footballing roots or footballing culture, especially a city like Delhi, which is so metropolitan, right? Like even a city like Bangalore, BSC had an impact, but a lot of kids here are already playing football, are already into football, whether it's European football, whatnot. So to have a local connect, you need that team to be there for 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 years. And if one more comes up, all the more better. So it'll be I don't know. I don't think they'll challenge or they'll be anywhere close to that. But it's very important that they don't forget their roots. Although they're playing somewhere else, they have to keep in contact with the Delhi football hub or football fan base, or try to increase whatever they can, because Delhi Dynamos failed. It's happened in Delhi, same place. So maybe you can learn from their mistakes and do something about it. And yeah, I don't think they'll do particularly all that well, to be completely honest. Especially teams which don't have foreigners. It's a big bridge. It's a big gap to bridge.
Just adding on to what Sandeep said, right? What most new clubs do is that, firstly, just let me just clarify something about Delhi. Delhi is not a market like Bangalore or Mumbai, right? For example, Bengaluru, you know the language is Kannada, right? It's not English, it's not Hindi. You know that you still have to engage in Kannada. Mumbai, you know that you engage in Marathi, you still will get the connect, right? What do you do in Delhi? Delhi is a notoriously tough market to crack in that aspect, right? Uh, how many people are actually from Delhi? I'm from Calcutta. My neighbors from Patna. The guy to my right is from Chennai. Let's say so. We're all here from different places. What really unites the crowd, right? I mean, there are very few touch points that really excite all stakeholders, right? And as new teams, what you often tend to do, and that mistakes that most new teams India tend to do, is that they tend to take fan engagement very lightly. They don't. They're always, their first object is always to go get that sponsorship, right? But in order to get sponsorship, in order to be sustainable, in order to be, economically viable, you need to do the 100 other things that you need to do before, getting sponsorship. Essentially, you need to have, a minimum of 4, 5, 6 touch points with the community in order for your activations to go full circle, right? Most people are just doing soccer schools or academies or an activation of the mall, right? The thing is, none of these things can exist in silos. You need to do everything, and everything needs to be interconnected with each other, which is why BFC today, it's an outlier among Indian football clubs, because of what it does, right? It's so used to making good content and connecting it back to their programs and activations, and and merchandising for that matter, right? So that nothing happens in silos. Everything has a set objective, and everything is part of a larger plan, right? So I mean, all Indian clubs could actually learn from BFC, at least the marketing and the PR bit of it, for sure.
Yeah, and do you know the beginning of
Yeah,
the year?
just
So people do not know the story. So in the beginning of when they first started, they didn't have any connection at all with the local clubs, right? They had only, I think, Vishal, who was a player from Bangalore as well, and maybe Amos also, not sure. But what they did is they actually, including Ashley and Pradyum and everybody, used to go out on the streets, give pamphlets. They targeted the higher income classes also by giving away by sort of joining forces with CCD and things like that, so that they get that market. Then these guys met with the auto drivers and rickshaw drivers and everybody, and the old school fans from Gautampura and Austin Town and all these hubs. They went there and made sure that they were asked to come and watch the games. So it was like Orko said, they had a long drawn out plan and they reached out to all facets of life to get the kind of connect that they've successfully managed to do now. And they've built on it subsequently. Now they do a lot more on social media, and even during this pandemic, they are trying to help the local small businesses by having things on their social media and things like that. And that is something that you need. A club needs to have a local connect. And without that, it's going to be very difficult to care, to be completely honest.
you're talking about tapping the market in Delhi, like the club Delhi FC. Like I was talking to one guy who works there and handles their marketing. Like they were saying that they are looking to tap into the Delhi-based Punjabi people. Like the majority of the city of Delhi has 35% Punjabis. So they were talking about targeting these Punjabi people, and for the matter of fact, the recent farmers protests like Delhi FC have been pretty active on Twitter, tweeting all the same. So they are really trying to tap those group of people in Delhi. Don't think Roundless Punjab is doing that because they have been pretty silent. But Delhi FC is a club which we should keep an eye on because they are really trying hard to get up there, and they are doing some stuff. So it's a really interesting club, and I have been hearing that they will be joining the I League second division next year. So I think it will be an interesting club, and they are really taking the fan engagement part pretty seriously. So that's a club we should keep an eye on.
Yeah, a final question, and it's an open question to anyone who has the answer for this. Any young names or any names that we should look out for the I League season that starts tomorrow, be it foreign signings or the Indian squad. So anyone that we should keep in mind and keep an eye on. Sayak.
Yeah, so for the striking part, like India really lacks, strikers, young strikers. So in the ISL also, we are not seeing many strikers. So I think there are five names to really keep an eye on them. So one is Jithin MS from Gokulam, Kerala. So he has been impressing in the Santosh Trophy matches in the recent past. So I think he is a good bet. Then we have Danish Farooq from Real Kashmir, Vidyasagar Singh from Trau, who is on loan from East Bengal, I think. And there is Himanshu Jhangra in Mohammedan. Like he was part of Indian Arrows up until recently. And then we have Keen Lewis from Sudeva FC. So I think these five players, I think we should really keep an eye on them. So should those scouts. So because we really need Indian strikers.
Any more additions to this? Sandeep, Arko, Ajay.
I think the Indian Arrows team would be interesting to watch. Like every year, we saw Vikram Pratap have quite a decent season last year in the I League. So I think how their work is that Venkatesh also keeps an eye. He sends the scouting report to Igor's team match and team his scouting report on I League. So I don't know where Mr. Steamach is, but he's the one who should have eyes on both the ISL and I League talent that's coming through, the Indian talent that's coming through in both these leagues. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this is is a good podcast for him to listen to. I mean, Sayak has given some good names for him to just help his
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
I'm more interested in seeing how the guys who've gone down from the ISL to the I League do, because essentially this season been tough one for players, and just to stay relevant, players are taking up offers because essentially you can't have a year's break in Indian football. That's pretty terminal, right? So there are a few ISL quality Indian players, who've gone to the I League. No offense to any I League teams at all, but they've played at the ISL. They've gone down. Some names are obviously that I'm looking forward to personally watching. Sumit Passi, wanting to see how he's doing. Jose Babeshia has gone down to the he was in the I League. He hasn't gone moved to the ISL. He's still in the I League, but at Round Glass Punjab. Chencho Gelshen is back. He's a fan favorite. I think everyone's looking forward to seeing how he's doing. I've seen Sudeva trainings. Really impressed by this Arrows chap who came from the Arrows called Lalian Sanga Rentle. He's a powerhouse in midfield, so he's going to be tough to beat. You have Tia, who's moved from Aizol to Sudeva. Very interesting to see how he does. Yeah, Jamal Bhuyan is another interesting addition. You're getting the captain of one of your fierce rivals to come and play here, and some guy with European experience. So interesting to see how he does. Yeah, so yeah, I think a few names there to look out. Ricky John Shabong, I think will be one of the more senior Arrows players, having already played a year or two there. So yeah.
For me, I was thinking of Jitin only, which has already been mentioned, mostly because again that's the
Yeah,
team I support.
adding to that, adding to that, I think we should also keep an eye on Shriram Bhupati within Chennai City FC. Like he is a very creative force in there. I think Bengaluru FC needs someone like him in their squad because there is no creativity at all in their midfield. So I think Shriram Bhupati will be a guy we should keep an eye on. Like he has been really good in the last two seasons in the I League, and I think this is his breakout year to join the ISL next season.
Yeah, so generally speaking, I think looking at Chennai City and the Northeast teams is always the best because there is always going to be one or two who is going to catch your eye at least, and who successfully can make the transition from I League level to ISL level next year, which is again like Orko said, no offense to the I League clubs, but that's just where the money is, that's just where the way it is. So, like we saw Romario this year, we've seen time and again how Chennai City have produced someone out of the blue who's been playing in their local league. So I always look at their team. I haven't seen anybody in their team as much, so I don't know. Like Sai just mentioned, I've read a few things here and there, but prefer to watch them and make my comment. So, but I look forward to that team. Chennai is one team that I'm really interested in seeing how much who they'll bring out this year.
Well, that was a great show, I feel, where we looked at some of the ISL, some issue that happened over there, and then a season of I League that's going to kickstart tomorrow. And a great season, I would say. A lot of matches to look forward to, especially on the first day itself, or the first weekend rather. We have 3 games on the 9th. That's tomorrow. We have the new team. So Deva Delhi FC take on Mohammedan SC, the Black Panthers, and then we have Punjab take over Aizawl. We have Gokulam take over Chennai, and then on the 10th, we have Real Kashmir and Trav and Indian Arrows and Churchill. So great set of matches, not just in the I League, but also in ISL. So we'll look at all of them. Let's watch all of them. So enjoy your weekend by watching a great series of games and come back next week. Tune into the Totally Indian Football Show, and we'll talk about all that's happened in the first week of I League, and definitely look at some more. Maybe we'll get back to our themes and concepts that we are looking at on the podcast as well. So probably we'll also have some new guests coming over. So please do subscribe and follow the Totally Indian Football Show on audio platforms like Apple, Spotify, and we are also available on our HOIF YouTube channel. So do subscribe. like and share and leave your thoughts. Let us know what you think about the topics and things that we've spoken of. So this is the end of episode number 7, and I'm your host Siju. Once again, thank you to all the members, all the boys, Ajay, Arko, Sandeep, and Sayak. We'll get back soon again next week. So do tune in, guys, and have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Come back next week. Thank you once again.